Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at Empires at Sea. This is a game for 2 to 5 players where it is historically based game where you're trying to simply gain the most points. The way you gain points is by having more ports and a bigger fleet and more resources and building up your defenses and building up your fleet and all this other kind of stuff and attacking. And let's get down to the table and I'll show you. So in a game of Empires at Sea, this is what everybody would start with. They get a starting hand of 6 captain cards. They also get a number of ships that have 3 different kinds of ships. They have ships of the line, frigates, and transports. They also get a cache of ports that they're able to put out on the board. They all draw a random port in which to start in, and in that port they're going to place one of their ports and then one of their transports adjacent to that port in any square that is adjacent to it. And then they're also going to take 2 wood, 2 steel, and 2 gold to start the game. Ports have a dual purpose. They also show where you are on the board, but they also give you a resource that you're going to produce at the beginning of every turn as well. So without further ado, let's talk about the captain cards. The captain cards are ones that are going to be played throughout the course of your turn, and they have a number of different things that they can do. Some of them can be played any time, denoted by the little clock symbol that's up in the upper right hand corner. You can play these to help you in an attack if you're defending, or to help you attack if you're the attacker. Others are cards that allow you to build something. For example, this card here allows you to build a transport for 2 wood and 1 steel. There are other ones that are advancements. In other words, these are upgrades for your entire fleet. Sometimes they're upgrades for your ports, whatever. You have to pay the cost, and then this denotes that it's something that stays in play. Other ones are just simple one-time things. For example, a deserted island. Explorers find paradise. Establish a port on any island. So you could pay this cost and then play that, put your port out wherever you'd like on the board, and so forth and so on. Now, the whole point of Empires at Sea is to gain the most points, but a little bit of a different route is taken in order to score that. Everything that you are producing throughout the course of the game is going to give you some points. Even the resources that you have left over at the end of the game are going to give you points as well, in some shape or form. During a player's turn, they're going to have a number of 5 actions, and those 5 actions can be used to do 4 different things. They can sail, which is movement, which is one of the cool things about this game. Movement works in such a way that for 1 action you can move as many squares as you want until you hit a border. And then, so that would be 1 action. That would be 2 actions. And then I could go all the way down here for 3 actions, 4 actions, 5 actions. You can also trade. If you are in a port, doesn't matter if it's your port or somebody else's port, you can trade 1 resource of any kind for the resource that is in that port. And every time you do that, you're using 1 action. Then you can also buy a port, which means that if you are in a port that is unowned by anyone, uncontrolled, then you can spend 1 wood, 1 steel, and 1 gold to put a port of your kind where you are, and then you would take one of the port cards that matches the port that you just bought and add it to your tableau. The 4th thing that you can do during your turn is attack. So if you are adjacent to a ship, for example, if this guy's way out here and Britain decides to come down here with one of their ships of the line, as long as you are adjacent to a ship of another rival, then you can attack them on your turn. Buying a port and attacking, whether the attack is successful or not, both of those actions are going to end your turn. Once everyone has taken their turn and done their 5 actions each, the pirates will take their turn, and the person who controls the pirates is the person that bribes them the most gold. So at this point, everybody would take a number of gold into their hands and blind bid it, and then turn it over. Whoever has the most gold then gets to take 5 actions with the pirates. The pirates can attack ports and ships, but they're basically there as a nuisance against your other players. Each round goes very quickly. The first thing that we do in a round is we flip over a weather card and a history card. The history card are cards that are historically based with the information that they have, and they will either affect everybody, just a couple people, or just one nation. It depends on what it says. For example, here is the Anglo-Spanish War. Britain and Spain raised taxes to pay for the war effort. No gold is produced by their ports this turn. So the British and the Spanish players, if they had any ports that produced gold, those ports would not produce gold during this round because of that history card that was played. Additionally, this card is a card that will affect all movement by any player, including the pirates. For example, this one says a thick fog makes navigation difficult. Transports are unable to move this turn. After a weather card is played and then a history card is played, the first player gets to take their turn. The first thing that you would do in your turn is you would take your captain cards and choose one of them to play. Let's say America's turn. They're going to play this first, which means that they would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gold to add to their stash. All right? And then they would be able to carry out their 5 actions. But since transports are unable to move this turn, nothing really else that they can do other than trading. Washington produces wood, so if they wanted to, they could trade, for example, using 3 gold, 1 action per gold, to gain 3 wood. And having nothing else to do, their turn would be done. Then Britain, France, and Spain would take their turns, and then each player would then choose whether or not they wanted to control the pirates. America has bribed the pirates with 3 gold. All of this gold would come down, whether they won or not, would come down to the treasure chest here in Pirates Bay, and then the Americans would be able to control the pirates however they saw fit. So since this is a ship of the line and not a frigate, it can move however it would like. So for example here, I moved down to this border, which was 1, over to this border, which was 1. This was my 3rd. And then I moved over here. I didn't have to stop here, but I wanted to because my final destination would have been here. All right, so the pirates have been moved. Then we go on to the next turn. In the next turn, we flip over another weather card and another history card. All right, so this time, the history card says that Americans see witches at every corner. The U.S. loses 3 wood for fires. So the U.S. would have to give up 3 wood back into the supply. And then over here, violent seas, a storm rages. Each nation must roll a 3 or higher or lose a ship at sea. Spain is okay. America, oh, they have to lose their transport. Britain, they're okay. France, they're okay as well. So a double hit there for the Americans, but that's okay. At the end of your turn, if you have no ships or ports, you are able to draw a wild port or a random port and then place a free transport. So there is that caveat. If you do get hit hard by a history card or by a weather card, you are able to recover. But it would put you behind. Just further clarification on combat, it is possible for a fleet attack to happen. So for example, if the Spanish fleet here were able to corner the pirates, both ships would get an attack. One ship would be the lead attacker and the other one would simply add a die to the die roll. So for an example, this ship of the line is going to be the lead attack against the pirates, which is also a ship of the line, but then they're going to use their frigate here for an extra die. They're going to roll not 1 but 2 dice and add the 3 from their attack bonuses to the die roll, trying to get over the defense of 8 that the ship of the line has. So, ship of the line, Spanish player rolls. and gets 9 plus 3, that's 12, well over the defense value of the pirate ship of the line. So the pirate ship is going to be sunk. However, ships of the line can attack back. All ships can attack back, as a matter of fact, but ships of the line are able to attack up to 2 different ships. So this ship of the line, the pirates, would be attacking back here and here, and they get a plus due on each of their die rolls. So for the frigate, the pirates would roll a 1. That's not enough to sink the frigate. But for the ship of the line, they roll a 2, not enough to, which would be a 4 because of the base 2, not enough to sink this. So at this point, the pirates would go away. This would go and count as 10 points to the Spanish player at the end of the game, because every ship of the line that you sink is worth 10 points. And really what you would do is you would simply go through the 15 rounds, each player taking 1 turn during each round, and whoever has the most points, counting up all of the ships in their fleet, all of the ports that are in your country, and all the ships that you have defeated, and any extra resources that you have, whoever has the most points wins. Now, I have to say that this is actually one of the most pleasant surprises that I've had this year, because, as I've said before, we're getting down to the games that we have to review that we weren't necessarily too excited about. And when the other guys opened this box, they weren't too surprised with it. I saw the big box, Empires at Sea. I tend to like nautical games, so hey, let's give it a whirl. We'll see how it goes. I pulled out the rule book, and the rule book was skimpy. And wow, that was kind of let a little bit of air out of my balloon, because usually one of 2 things happens with skimpy rule books. Either it's a streamlined game and it actually is pretty fun and easy to learn, or they've left a lot of stuff out and you're not going to know how to play the game. So I was wary, but I cracked it open and got to work, and man, it was a good short rule book. It had a couple of rules hidden here and there, but for the most part, it was a streamlined, easy to read, easy to understand rule book. It has a difficulty where, because you randomly draw where your ports are, it could be where all 3 of you are right together, and it makes going a little bit more difficult. Or you could be completely spread out, where you're really just kind of playing a solitaire game, or you have a couple people that are right next to each other and one guy that just has free reign of his half of the board, and more than likely that guy is going to be the winner. So there is some difficulties there. So if you're taking this more seriously than I think it wants to be taken, you might have problem with that. But because I just took it as, hey, this is a neat little fun resource management civ-like game that plays pretty quickly as far as civ games go, and it was pretty fun. I enjoyed a lot of it. A lot of people are probably not going to have very much nice things to say about the cards. The artwork on the cards is all public domain type artwork, where you can just go download it and put it on whatever you like, and there's no problems with that. I actually think that provides a little bit more of a thematic flavor to it. It gives me the feel of looking through a history book, a textbook at school, or something to that effect, where you're actually playing out some of these huge events that occurred throughout time. It does provide a very historical flavor. The public domain artwork that's there, while I'm usually not a proponent of it, here I think it works because of the theme that's wrapped around the game, how it's a nautical game about each country taking their fleets and exploring with them, and having confrontations at sea, and even attacking some ports every once in a while, having to deal with pirates. All of that is very thematic in this game, and I really did enjoy it. Now, not everybody that I played the game with enjoyed it, but not everybody, I don't think anybody truly hated it either. Most of the responses were, yeah, it's not bad. I like that about the game, because it's an average game that a number of different kinds of people enjoyed at least a little bit, and that's a good thing. It did overstay its welcome a little bit in a couple of the games, because people felt that it was just going a little bit too long. It's an okay game. I'm going to give it probably a 6.5, maybe even a 7, depending on the player count, because with the higher player counts, it's going to be too long for my tastes. But with a lower player count, maybe a 2 or a 3, with those other caveats in mind as far as where your ports turn up and that type of thing, I think it could really shine and be a really cool 1 to 1.5 hour game, and people will enjoy it. So that's Empires at Sea. I had a great time playing the game and learning how to play it. As always, try before you buy, but that is Empires at Sea, and we'll see you guys on the flip side.